All right, guys, it's another week. It's another episode of Tales from the Head. This week we're doing Guess This Is Growing Up. Yes, it's a nod to Damn It from Blink 182, but it is
hmm
also a nod to just us blooming as butterflies when we were once our little caterpillars in our pods as boys. That was the metaphor to creep everyone out and hopefully just bring complete silence to whatever we're doing right now.
You know what's funny? As you're making the introduction, Major Pain came to my mind. We what when they do the little song at the end at the ROTC
Yeah,
games, and here we are together. We started off as boys, now we're men, and we're making some noise. Oh yeah, it's just
that's pretty much that's what I should have went with.
yeah. But you know
Um,
what? The '90s was such a magnificent time. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, a beautiful time. I'm still living in the 90s.
Sometimes I live it. I'll turn on Netflix and I'll watch the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I'm just in fifth grade again, all over again.
Musically, I'm still 90s up.
Oh,
Metal,
hell,
hip hop, rock.
Ken, Coop, we were
What
seeing this.
else?
We are talking about this before we were in our, if you quote unquote, pre-production meetings, if you will.
Yeah,
For it's a
little
technical
pre.
term. We were talking about how, and this kind of flows with what we were talking about last week. How we are heroes and stuff like that, and we like to remember our heroes or celebrities. Well, at least I do when I first saw him. And we're talking about like
Uh,
Charlie Sheen, like for us, I don't remember him how he looks now. I always remember him like the Wild Thing type of like Charlie
yeah,
Sheen,
they're
where he got weird.
immortalized at that
Yeah.
age.
I was saying Tom Hanks. For me, I don't think of old man Tom Hanks now. I think of him like what's it called? Forrest Gump,
Yeah,
Tom
like
Hanks and
90s
stuff.
Hanks.
Exactly. And then I'll see Big and I'm like, "Oh my god, he was so young." But
Yeah,
um so the reason I'm saying is because lately in like this past, I don't know, 2 weeks, myself and our mutual friend Daryl, we've been on this Metallica hype. We
yeah.
used to just like read this. If you ever do this, I'm pretty sure you do this all the time,
Hmm.
where you rediscover a band. You always like them,
Yeah,
but you're back in it, and it's like you're in fucking eighth grade again, like re-listening to all their music. Like, oh my god! So lately for me, it's been Metallica and it's been Rage Against the Machine. Like for me, I'm
nice.
like, this is like the best music period. So every time I think of Metallica, of course we think of like think of Hef. We think of James Hetfield. We think of Lars. What's up, dude?
Right.
And then we also think of Kirk Hammett. And then depending on which, for I know some will say they think of what's the original bass player?
Cliff
Tim. It's
Burton.
not Tim. Cliff. There you go.
Yeah,
Cliff. Some people would think of Jason or Robert
yeah.
Trujillo. I have a mixture of Robert Trujillo and Jason
Newstead.
Stanman, or what is it?
Newstead.
Newstead, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I have a mixture between that, but every time I think of the other three core members, I think of like, for me, I think Lars with like his full on hair. I don't even think about him how he looks now with like long hair, but like with a freaking hairline up here or something.
Right.
Um, I don't think of Kirk Hammett with like his old lady grandma curly grayish hair, rocking with sweatpants. Like, come on, bro. We know you're rocking sweatpants while
Oh yeah,
jamming out
yeah.
there. And then of course I think of Hef. I think of like late '90s Hef, with like the slick back hair, the goatee, just ooh.
Yeah.
And nowadays I see him like his most recent, like 2019, maybe early 2020. And yeah, dude, he looks like the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz, and
Oh
it's just
yeah.
so
Well,
sad.
the
So
mutton
for me,
chops
have
don't help.
that's true. And then with like the long hair, that slick back, it's just
Yeah.
so for me. Long story short, anytime I think of my idols or whatever, I think of them when I first saw them. So that's for me. That's their image. So nowadays, I can see like dudes from Metallica or Tom Hanks, and I wouldn't even know. I
Yeah.
mean, I will know it's Tom Hanks, but like Jeff Heff, James, I'll be like, oh man, that dude looks familiar, but I would never guess. It's like, oh, dude, it's the singer of Metallica. Like
Dude,
I
and
don't know.
have you read his story though, Hetfield?
No, he has books. Of course, he has a book out.
I don't know if he has a book, but he did like an article where it took me like 30 minutes to read, and yeah, that could
Okay.
just be because I'm retarded. But um, it was like a really long like interview that this guy did with him, and
Uh-huh.
it was really interesting because he explained his like young childhood and like all the drama with his family. It's like
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Both his parents were dead before he graduated high school, and he
Yeah,
lost them
sucks.
during high school,
For
not at the
cancer,
same
right?
time.
Or
Like his mom
yeah.
had cancer, and his
Uh-huh.
dad just straight up abandoned him.
Yeah. And that
So
makes, I mean,
no,
I
but his dad
from what
left
I've
before the mom got before the mom died.
oh, that sucks,
So then
dude.
it was just him and his siblings with their like mom. And I think he was 17 when he had no parent. Like his dad was already gone, and his mom was dead, and he was
Yeah.
17. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, and then you started a band, and good for
And
you.
and you know what? What's funny is like that explains so much of where like Metallica gets its characteristics. Because I remember reading a little bit about him or learning about him. How when he was young, he was supposed to go play like pro football. Like this guy
Yeah,
was really good in football, like scholarships, and he said, "Nah, I want to go pursue music instead." And everybody thought it was like a dumb idea, whatever. And look at him; he went on to be in quite arguably the most famous band. Well, one of
yeah,
them, the most famous, timeless bands. Like,
definitely recognized across the world. You know,
I mean, just look at your shirt. Like, yeah,
it's not even
it's not
Metallica, but
Metallica,
it's a
but
parody of.
yeah, see,
Shout out to Ryan Sickler.
yeah,
Shout out to the
great
Honeydew.
guy.
Yeah,
But yeah, yeah, man, Metallica's so freaking good, so good. And I know we talked about it last week also. Um, so I'm pretty sure we'll probably talk some more about Metallica next week also. But
what album were you jumping back into though?
right now, I was listening to Ride the Lightning.
Oh shit,
Just
yeah.
just Battery is such a freaking badass song,
Well,
dude.
wait, batteries on master though.
Oh, sorry. Yes, you're right. I was thinking
Are
wrong
you what?
album. I'm sorry.
You so you're listening to Master?
Master. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
dude,
You're right.
Master. I love Ride the Lightning too, but the audio quality on Master is like it's like the perfect like thrash tone.
Yeah.
And then, dude, the thing that should not be is like probably the heaviest fucking song I've ever heard in my life.
Because I was listening to Kill 'Em All, but that's just such like that needs to be remastered and like if they can get the originals and like
Yeah,
read if they can redo it because like Hit the Lights is such a badass song, but then I hear it like original and I'm like, yeah, this is like
yeah.
hurting
It
my
sounds
ears.
like 1983.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to be a snob or anything, but we said this several times. We're both audio people. We've been listening to
Yeah,
music. We dabble a little bit in recording here and there. Obviously, we do recording for this podcast, but we're like, yeah, that audio, that tone is. Come on, bro. Can we fix the
but I always
tone?
look at it like their demo.
That's true. That's a
No,
good
it
way to
wasn't
see it.
really their demo, but it's
Hmm.
like it was technically their debut.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
but back then, early thrash. Well, look at me all shaky. Early thrash was just that's how it sounded. You know,
yeah,
it was super
yeah.
punk. It was like super
S-
like raw
So,
and
yeah, in your face and like and that was kind of like what they're going for also. I remember
yeah,
like in the interview Lars and James were saying like they're just going to be the fastest, the loudest, like ear piercing sounds and I'm like, "Yep, you definitely hear that with
dude.
Kill 'Em
Yeah,
All."
they're like intense, like super
Yeah.
raw intensity on that record. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
Plus
Man.
Mustaine's on it.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then he went
Um,
on and it's funny because he went on I didn't realize how important he is to the trash metal community.
yeah,
Like this obviously he was in the Metallica debut album, which is, what set the tone
and
for
wrote.
this
I think he wrote half
generation.
of a bunch of Ride the Lightning too.
Yeah. And then he went on to do Megadeth and then he went on and inspire I think what's his name? The guitar player from Slayer, something
Kerry
Kelly, I can't
King.
remember. Yeah, he was also part of Megadeth, right? Or he tried out or
I
something
don't
like
know.
that.
I don't know. Because Slayer
But
was doing this stuff the same time as Megadeth, so I'm not sure.
yeah, and then they went on, and he also went on to inspire like Anthrax. So every time you think of the big four, Dave Mustaine is like right there in the middle. Like I
Yeah,
forget what his 20 Degrees of Bacon is to like Anthrax and Slayer, but like he single handedly influenced those two bands. Obviously, his band Megadeth is considered one of the top four, and then of course his debut and giving that Metallica sound also.
yeah.
So
No, dude, he's dope, and Megadeth's got some jams. Um,
yeah, dude, took me
Holy
a while to
Wars is a good
appreciate
one.
them. Oh, dude,
Um,
took me a while to appreciate them.
yeah,
But
but I mean, especially from the shit we listen to, I feel like it's understandable why we could listen. I mean, like, dude, I listen to some weird shit, so it's like
yeah,
I could get past his fucking singing.
yeah.
Because at first, like when you show people like sweating bullets, they're like, "What the fuck is this?" And that's
Yeah,
exactly what I thought when I first heard it.
yeah,
Hello, me. It's me again.
yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck is this? But it's a
Um,
fucking great song. It's heavy as fuck.
was P Cells a what do you mean? I'm like,
What
ugh,
do you
like
mean I don't need to do something?
yeah.
Yeah.
If there's if there's no way, you need
But I like when he sings
no
like that.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be the last. Yeah, you'll be the first. And I don't know. But anyway,
Yeah.
I'm probably sounding worse than Dave Mustaine. But, I'm sure there was a
I-
time he felt like a man. And I can tell you right now, the first time I really felt like a man, I was about 21 because,
mm,
I was on my own when I was 18. And yeah, I was paying for shit, but it wasn't until I was 21 when I had a job I trusted. Me and Steph were together for a few years now, and
mhm.
um, I paid my own rent. It wasn't like mom and dad were helping me out. Like I was paying my rent, I was buying beer,
Yeah.
wasn't smoking weed yet, but which is I don't know whether that's a good or bad thing, but anyway. Um but I wasn't doing that. So it was like the first time I was really self-sufficient. Felt like
Yeah.
I had really like a life starting, and I was
Mhm.
proud of myself. I was rooming in Willow Glen with two dudes. It was a 3-bedroom apartment, so it was super cool. I had my own space.
Yeah.
We weren't in our parents' house anymore. It was a good time. I was getting drunk all the time. It was fun.
And you didn't have to answer to anybody.
Yeah, dude, and I didn't have to answer to anyone. Like if my parents called me, it was just to talk. It wasn't because like I had to go take out the garbage. Like
Yeah.
I just had to do that on my own. So it
Yeah.
was nice. It's kind of a lackluster, like, hey, like what but it's the first, And as
Yeah.
we all know, the first ain't always the best, especially when it comes to sex.
Yeah.
So you
Absolutely.
got to just get that one out of the way, which we did, and then we're just
And
gonna roll right over.
yeah, practice makes perfect. No,
What
it's
was like?
funny you
Do you
say,
remember? Oh, what were you gonna say?
yeah, I was gonna say it's funny you bring up the age, 21, because my was actually 22.
Nice. I'm glad I
21,
went. I'm
22 ish.
glad. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go. I'm glad I didn't go second because it would have looked like I was trying to outdo you.
Like,
I
yeah,
was
me too.
21.
Yeah, no, mine is it's the summer because my birthday's in late August, so it was in the summer when I was going from 21 to 22,
Nice.
and I remember it was the first time I got like a grown up job. Granted, by this time I was already working, 6 or 7 years. But for me, I always consider those jobs like childish. Like my first job was at Great America. For the listeners who do not know what Great America is, it's the local
Yeah.
theme park here in the Bay Area, in South Bay, I should say.
Mhm.
And it was like everybody there was like 15,
Yeah.
like everybody was my age, like a bunch of my high school friends, it was a shit show, but it was fun. It was a fun time.
Funnel
It was
cakes.
like funnel cakes, letting people who I knew from the funnel cakes, so friends from the funnel cake people, like they'll come through my line. I'll let them go without having to pay for the entrance, and in return, I'll get like a funnel cake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nowadays, we'd be like 800 pounds.
yeah. Nowadays,
Thanks
I'll get
for a funnel
arrested.
cake. Oh,
Yeah. And nowadays I'll be arrested because I'm pretty sure it was illegal. But
Stay away from
but
those 15-year-olds.
yeah. Well, I mean, first off, if I'm in my age, I'm still working around 15. Like
It's
I don't
true.
feel comfortable. Yeah. But I did that job and then I was working retail, which is again a bunch of people similar to my age. So I never really took it that serious. And it wasn't until the summer of 2006 when I started working for the local cable company. I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not gonna say the name of the cable company.
Is it
Um
Charter?
no, it wasn't.
Is it AT&T?
Okay, fine. You want me to say
I'm
it?
just kidding. I just want to narrow it down to make it
Yeah.
awkward. I know what it is. I don't care. We can. I'm just being a dick.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I used to
Yeah.
work for the cable company, and I think it's the first time I'm like, oh shit, I have like a legit corporate job.
Yeah.
Like, had to go and dress with like dress pants and like a tie and like a dress shirt. Like I couldn't just show up with jeans and t-shirt anymore.
Yeah.
Like, and then like of course like I had put up the big boy's voice. Like somebody because I used to work in the call center, so they'll call, and the reason I'm doing this is because we'll wear headphones, but the microphones were like,
Yeah.
adjustable. So go down and be like, "Thank you for calling blank. My name is Danny. How can I help you?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Oh," and of course,
Hey, you son of a bitch.
you motherfuckers are charging me too much. Okay, well let me pull up your information. All this shit,
You said you'd be
and
here between 9 and 5, and it's 5:30.
I'm like, since we tried calling you at 3 o'clock. Oh,
It's all bullshit. Yeah.
the bullshit. I don't got no missed call. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Oh, wait. Damn. That
damn.
was the remote I was holding, not my phone.
Um, but yeah, I think that's like when I realized, like, oh shit, I have like a real job. Again, I'm not saying that my older jobs were not real, but for me, this was like, oh shit, it's a real job now. Like,
You're like
this is like big decisions and shit. Like I'm
for all my
fucking
other
corporate.
employers listening, you are all make believe.
Yeah, you weren't real.
Job.
Also, this is like the first job where like I got paid like really good. Like you
Yeah.
should not be giving a 21-year-old, 22-year-old this amount of money because we don't know what to do with the money. Full on benefits, and talking about 401k, it was just weird, dude. But I feel like yeah, I'm a grown up in this. Like that's the first time I felt like okay, I'm a grown up. Like this is a real boy, this is a
Yeah.
real job. And like I had people, sure there's people my age working there who I'm still friends with, surprisingly.
Yeah.
But I also had like people who are much older than me and with family and stuff. So it's just
That's a good sign. Yeah.
it felt more more serious, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, then, you
Yeah.
could go to the bar, you could be like, "Hey, you got
Yeah.
HBO?" Like,
Bro.
use it as a
Bro, you
fucking, "Hey,
dude,
I'm just
so
saying, save
oh
that money."
dude. So here, hey, check this out, dude. So I used to go to work again because thinking I was like, you know, again, 21, 22, egotistical, like fucking dress pants, the tie and everything. So I used to go into work with a messenger bag. I didn't have nothing in
Yeah.
the messenger bag. I just used to take it,
Just wanted to be Indiana Jones.
yeah, I just wanted to look professional. And then after, like, of course, I'll meet up with my buddies at like at the time was the Cinnabar. So, I'll get off work like, 5 or 6 in the afternoon, show up to the Cinnabar, and I'll roll up the sleeve so it looks like I just came out from from a freaking law like a law firm or something.
Yeah.
And then I will purposely put the badge like so everybody can see it. Like I'll put it like in my messenger bag or something, or like so I can still see it, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, you work for like for the cable company?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, 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 I do. I work up in the office," because they'll think like, "Oh, you work in the one down the street." I'm like, "No, I'm in the big times office over there in Morgan Hill, off Cochrane." They'll be like, "Oh, so what do you do?" Of course, I didn't. Of course, I wouldn't tell them like, "Oh yeah, I'm a customer service
Yeah.
or customer account executive." I'll be like, "Oh, those like commercials?" I'm like, "I'm in the team. I'm in the marketing team, so I help them brainstorm for commercial ideas." And they used to fucking believe it then the best thing was because we would get previews of like of the commercials that are coming out.
Yeah.
So like I'll find out about them like 2 or 3 weeks before they'll air. I'll tell it to somebody like, "Oh, well, there's this new one coming out. Is this, and that." And then they will actually air, and then they'll come back and be like, "Oh my god, that was you weren't lying." So
You're
it
like,
was
she's
just
like, "Oh my god, you're telling the truth."
yeah, exactly, dude. It was all just a game to
And
pick
then
up
the
girls, dude.
blowjob started.
And like it's funny because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a grown up now, but at the same time, such a freaking childish
Oh,
mentality.
dude, totally. Well, because
But
like now at your age, you totally think it was kind of what is the word? Like I guess arrogant, but now I want to say like just young and kind of young, dumb.
dumb.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
but now like if we did it at our age now, I feel like we just look like we had really small penises.
Yeah. Now if we do in our age, it's just like
Oh, they're
that's sad.
overcompensating. Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
Mm.
you work, oh, you make your, advertisement and you're coming to this bar.
Yeah,
Like,
you're doing really well for yourself. I
yeah, like
you have a
why?
mini
So
bar in
why
your
the
office.
why do you still have your badge on then? Like didn't you come here in the bus? Like
You're like,
you like
listen, I like to come down here, and even though I have nothing in common with you people, I just want to feel like I do. So that's
I
why I
just
come
want to feel
down
alive,
here. I
bro.
drink with the commoners, but I'm really not one
Yeah.
of you.
No. I'm
You're
in
like you lie. You're like I'm actually like on the 22nd floor. Um,
of like
in
the skyscrapers across the street.
oh yeah, those ones
And
in
then they'll
Morgan
be like,
Hill.
"Oh." I'm like, "Oh, can you show me?" "Oh, I forgot my keys."
I can tell you
It's
what,
just
I can get you a stress ball. How about that?
tell you
Uh,
what, I can definitely get you a t-shirt. You want a t-shirt? Here, have a t-shirt.
You know what? I
Have a
wasn't going to do
cable
this, but
t-shirt.
Showtime is having a free preview this weekend. You know what? I think I'm going to.
You know what?
Here's a voucher.
I'm like, "Listen, give me your account number. Imma throw high speed internet for you for 20 bucks a month."
What'd you say?
Wow.
Triple play?
What?
You want some?
Triple
You want
play?
a landline as well? Got to talk
Oh,
to
no.
grandma? No problem.
No problem. Got you.
We'll get her
I
one
got you.
too. Where's she live? Like fuck.
Let me complete doing hella legal shit just to get on the commission.
Yeah,
But
dude. Upsell them. I just wanted some low speed internet.
oh, well, we're gonna get you Kermit the Frog.
Yeah.
But no, dude, I think that's like one like that's when I started thinking like, okay, I'm making real money. I'm not again not saying that my other jobs didn't pay me real money,
Nothing.
but like I was making, at the time making very good money for my age. Um, has benefits like crazy. And it was just ridiculous, man. I was just making too much money and there was nobody there to so yes, I did feel like a grown up, but still so childish because I didn't have nobody there to like guide me. And I mean,
Yeah.
to be honest, I wasn't there. I wasn't ready to listen. I'm pretty sure my dad will be like, oh, he used to tell me like put some money away for like a rainy day or, do this and that. But I mean,
You're like, never fucking rains.
yeah,
I'm
never
just
fucking we're in the drought, dad.
kidding.
So yeah, it's just crazy, man. But I think it's like one of the first times where I started feeling I'm no longer a kid. I'm transitioning to an adult now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it felt good. Like you felt we always idolize men as boys, you know?
Hmm.
And it's like finally you feel like you're scraping or scratching at that, right? Because
Yeah.
even though you say you're like, I'm a man, it's more like I'm a man. So it's like,
Yeah.
you're not quite there. You're like your foot's in the door, which is a good feeling though,
Yeah.
you know?
And to be honest, dude, like, and this is what's so messed up about growing up in our society, because there's different forms of man. If you, especially when we were like growing up, there was like
Yeah.
the successful business, swab, whatever, um, image that we should see, like having a bunch of money and stuff like that. Like, oh, that's a man. But then also you see for me still like I don't consider myself I mean, yes, I do consider myself a man, but I wouldn't say like, oh, I'm manly. Like, I don't know how to fucking like how to fucking put a new, toilet. Like I don't know how to like rewire something like a lamp or something. So it's
Yeah, but
like
dudes that know how to do that don't know how to spend time with their family. So there you go.
that's true. That's true.
Hey, but no one's perfect because then the guy that has the hard skills doesn't have the emotional skills,
That's
you know?
true.
So,
That's true.
not to cut you off, but
No, no,
I
no.
was
You're
watching a downward spiral and I wanted to save you. No, I know you
thanks,
weren't
bro.
doing that, but
No, but no, it's funny because like for me now, I'm like, oh, well, if I was a real man, like sometimes I definitely kick myself. I'm like, fuck, dude.
yeah,
If I was a real like, if how come I don't know how to change a fucking transmission, in
because
my
you're not a
in my breakaway truck.
mechanic.
That's true. That's true. I like I always think of like fucking my cousin Vinny when
Oh,
he's like,
Marissa
oh,
Tomei.
yeah, and it's like, oh, what's the timing to a 1956 like Chevy, whatever, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck you mean the timing? Or like
Was it
what's
1964 Buick Skylark or something? I think that's
I
what it
forgot
was.
what was the question. I forgot what was the question, but something like that's way beyond my recognition of like cars. And I'm like, fuck, I wish I knew what the fuck they're talking about sometimes. But like you said, dude, I'm not a mechanic.
Yeah,
We're not mechanics.
I'm not a mechanic. I just had to pay $1,400 to get my air conditioning fixed in my truck. Definitely not a
And how
mechanic. That made
and
me
how's
feel
that
like a
air?
man.
Paying that? Yeah.
Yeah, you know what made me feel like a man? Getting that stimmy check, paying off my
Woo.
credit card, and then
Woo.
paying my fucking automotive payment back on my credit card. But you know what? That's America, baby. We're
It's the
always in
circle of
debt.
life. It's the circle of life, baby.
Give me all
Circle
the
of life.
handouts. I'm still in debt.
You know what's funny? That's another time I felt like I won't say man, but like growing like a grown up when I got my
Yeah,
first credit card.
true.
Um,
Wait,
so
how
it's
old were
like
you? Oh, it was young. I
so
think you told me this, right? Didn't someone
yeah,
co-sign it
so
for you?
yeah, so when I turned 18 for my 18th birthday, my parents put me on their credit card plan or whatever.
Nice.
So which was awesome because literally at the age of 18, I had like an amazing credit score and I had a credit card with a limit of like $10,000.
Jesus Christ, dude. That's crazy. Yeah. But
And
that's
and
because of what they did.
yeah, and then like of course you start getting like offers from other credit card companies.
Yeah.
So for me getting credit cards were like super easy like at the age of 18 and 19, which was a huge mistake. Again, um like growing up, we didn't have money. Like, I mean, we had money, but I didn't have that much money around me. So
Yeah.
now when I was, that young and you give me a credit card and you mean to tell me I can buy whatever I want and get it now and I can just pay for it like later without really thinking about it? Like no
Exactly.
one really I never took no fucking classes. Like school didn't give us any classes about like financial
That's
risk
true.
and like it was you just had to learn to deal with it. And of course, I wasn't so dumb to use the credit card that my parents gave me because obviously I'll be able to see, or my dad will be able to see what the fuck I'm charging. So it was I would get different credit cards, and then like I mean, I blame myself like, oh yeah, I was 19 in debt, but at the same time, it's these banks' fault. Like, why the fuck would you give a 19-year-old um with like $40 in his bank account a freaking credit card with a $5,000 limit?
Well, because your parents put you on there. It's
Not
not
on
really the
that one.
bank's fault,
No, no, no.
but that's
So
well, to defend the bank, you had established credit. So if they see you, regardless of how old you are, they're going to send
yeah,
it to you. It's not even a
yeah,
person. It's just a computer. So
yeah.
I
That's
get what you're
true.
saying, dude, but
Yeah,
the bank could have told you not to do it. You would have done it anyway. You were 19 years old.
that's true. I had learned the
We
hard
did
way.
what the fuck we wanted to do back then, dude.
Oh, dude.
I still feel like that. If someone tell That's why I really don't feel like I have regrets. I mean, I didn't kill anybody, but like
Yeah.
I'm sure some people were like, "Yeah, well maybe I didn't want to do that." But like that's why I'm saying I don't have regrets because I don't think we would have done it different if someone was there, dude. Because kids are
No.
fucking rebellious little pricks. They got to learn the hard way. They know best,
Hmm.
and it's not sexy to save money. So it's like,
No.
especially at that age,
No.
you're someone that has money, dude. It's appealing to everybody, not just girls, but your friends. Oh shit, Danny's got money, And I do
Yeah.
remember that because you kind of helped front and start the Red Room Studios.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that was your credit card that was getting swiped a lot, dude.
Oh yes.
So, I mean, I
100%.
remember being around for like the drum mics getting bought
Mm-hmm.
and like the
Yeah.
fucking Avid interface that he had back then. God, what was
Yeah.
that fucking thing called? It
Well,
was
I
it
think the
was
Pro Tool, it was a Pro Tool
it was the Pro
M
Tools.
Audio something.
Yeah,
Um,
like the M box or whatever.
M Box, yeah. Well, that one was already there. That was, I think that
Yeah.
was gifted to him already, but like, or
But still,
um,
I know
but
what you're
like
talking about though, because I you were
buying like
about that old.
microphones, yeah, buying like microphones, specific preamps for like certain things.
Dude, that shit's super expensive.
Yeah, this is like at the beginning of like when everything was turning digital, also. So
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just, yeah, again, not having that financial responsibility, unfortunately. So yeah, I felt like, oh man, I'm a man or I'm successful or something. Like, look at me, I have the credit cards and I
You know,
can
if
get
you would have
anything
had
I
better
want.
friends, you probably would have saved more money.
Nah, dude, nah, because like you said, dude, I wasn't ready to listen. Like I had to learn
Yeah.
the hard way, I had to learn the hard way.
And you were having
And
fun, dude. You kind of knew, even though you know you could save money, like we also know, and we were right, that is the time to have fun.
yeah,
Because when you're in your 30s, it's no longer socially acceptable to do that stuff.
it's not sexy.
And
It's
it's
not
not sexy.
sexy.
Yeah.
It,
True that.
you do not want to get a partner who is living pay. I mean, granted, there is people living paycheck to paycheck, so I
Well,
shouldn't say that. But
pre-COVID, whatever. I know what you're saying.
yeah, but it's not sexy when you're 30 something and like you have no financial responsibility or like no financial. You're not
Stability.
conscious
Yeah.
or conscious about it. Like
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
swiping
You're
all
not
crazy,
financially conscious.
Yeah. It's not sexy, it's not a trait, and it's kinda like those things like, dude, you need to stop being a kid and, like, you need to, like, start thinking about the future.
Yeah. I mean, it's not
Um,
sustainable, you know?
there you go, that's the word I was looking for. You gotta be more financially sustainable and live within your means,
Hmm.
or as my buddies and I say, we gotta live within our tax bracket, you
Shh, I
know?
don't even know what that means anymore.
I have no idea anymore,
Fuck.
man.
I'd have to look
I'll
it
I'll
up again. But yeah,
it's
like, like, I mean, definitely that was part of it too. Cause when I was 18, I got a Capital One and it had a $500 limit. I didn't do the whole, and dude, let me tell you something. That thing was maxed out. I didn't start being good about paying it off until like probably about 6 years ago.
Mhm.
So it was just constantly like dwindling, being maxed out, not able to be
Yeah.
used because the interest was getting me, and then I just wasn't paying it. So like,
Mhm.
it's cool though that I have had it since I was like 18 too, because I didn't have a high limit then, but I have had the same credit line since I was 18, and that also
Mhm.
looks good for credit
Yeah.
longevity. So I was like, well, that's one plus. And then lately, so for the last few years, I've been actually being responsible and paying it off. It's like
Yeah.
I'm actually building my credit again, and it's
Yeah.
good. So like that also is a nice little reminder that hey, you're doing things correctly. And it feels good
Dude,
when you have like a safety net of credit to
yeah.
dig into in case you need to, instead of having just this looming bill.
Bro, like again, it's continuing with like when did we feel like we're growing up or slowly becoming man? Yeah, yeah. I there's been times where like shit happens and I'm like, fuck, all right, well, let me put in this credit card. Luckily, I have it covered, no biggie. Like, I
Exactly.
think it was back in December. I flew out to Mexico, right? And I bought my plane ticket like sometime in September. And within a week or two, my dad's like, "Well, shit. So I'm gonna buy the same flight as you have, so I can go with you." He's like, "But I'll probably buy it next week whenever like my paycheck comes in or something." I'm like, "Oh no, Dad, it's cool. I got you."
Right.
Charged it to my credit card. I had, like you said, that safety net of like charging it. And then he's like, "Okay, well, I'll pay you back." And just if you have no idea of how like satisfying and how like rewarding it feels to tell your parents, "Oh no, dude, it's cool. Like, don't worry
Yeah,
about
I
it."
got it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And it makes me, I'm pretty sure for my parents, it makes them feel proud, like, "All right, like, we like, okay, this kid is off to a good, like, he's good. Like, everything that we worked so hard for him to achieve, he achieved it." And I'm also me, I'm like, "Damn, I'm at the point where, like, my parents worked so hard, put a roof over my head, put me through college, where now I'm like, 'Oh, it's cool, dad. Like, I got you.'" Like,
Yeah,
again, I'm not saying this to shit on anybody, but just as a reminder of the topic is when did we feel like grown-ups, you know? And for me, this was, again, sometime last year, might have been like in November. Again, I'm the example I'm using is not to shit on anybody, it's not to make any feel, it's just for me, it felt rewarding. It made me feel like you just said, like, yeah, I'm off. I'm okay. Like I'm off.
right.
I'm in a good place now. Um, as I'm not sure if I told you, but as a reminder, and of course to our listeners, we are currently finishing up our family vacation home in Mexico.
Oh, hell yeah.
Um,
Nice.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We started this project. So my grandfather back in the '80s gifted my mom this small house, freaking small ass house. It was like 2 rooms, so maybe like 2 or 3 rooms, 1 bathroom,
Right.
super small. But of course, we never stayed there. We always stayed at my grandma's house when we went. And just recently, we're like, well, shit, we all have families now. We grown. Like, we need our own place when we go to Mexico. So we're like, okay, let's just remodel the old house. So we knocked it down. Now it's like fucking 6 bedrooms, 2 stories. It's fucking gorgeous house. Anyways,
That's awesome.
um, so we're paying, me and my brothers, while giving money to, to help build that, to, for the construction of the house.
Right.
Um, and I think back in November, my parents were like, "Hey, we don't want to get a loan and put the house on, for equity or whatever. We don't want to, refinance. We don't want to do that. We just want to pay it off." I was like, "So do you have some money that you can lend us?" I'm like, "Well, how much money are you talking about?" And my dad, he throws some number. He threw a number away. He's like 6 grand. I'm all okay. I'm all, when do you need it by? He's like, "Oh, in a month or two." I'm like, all right, I'll have it to you by Friday. And you have no idea, Coop,
That's
how
crazy. Yeah.
how badass it was for me, like as a man, again, only from going having like, and I mean, you can talk to our good friend who's probably going to be listening to his episode, good friend Hector. There was a time where I had to go to the bank, deposit like $4 or $5 so I can take out a 20,
Yeah.
and he was there. Like literally, my bank account was like $4.11. It was like
Yeah.
super low, to like just being able to go to the bank and be like, "Oh yeah, let me take out 6,000
Yeah, dude.
from
That's
this
big.
account."
That's big boy shit.
And yeah, and still knowing that there's still gonna be money in there, for like in the rainy day.
Yeah.
And just
Damn.
give it to my dad. And my parents always tell me like, "Oh dude, don't worry, we're gonna pay you back, or we're gonna collect money and we're gonna start paying you back." And back in my mind, I'm like, am I really gonna accept that money from my parents? Like,
Yeah.
of course not. I
That's
mean,
good
I
that
know,
you have that.
yeah, I know. I mean, I know my parents are very like powerful people, and my dad's old school Mexican, so he's all about like having word, and it's like, "Oh no, I said I was gonna pay you back. I'll pay you back."
Right.
To be honest, I'll probably accept like maybe $1,000 from him. After I'll be like, "Dude, I can't, like, I cannot accept that money back from my parents.
Yeah.
Like, that's chump change." Not again, I'm not saying I'm fucking wealthy or anything, but
But
it's
that's
chump
appreciative.
change.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's chump change compared to all that they have, they done for me,
Right.
and what they continue doing for me, and what I put them through several times, several occasions. It's nothing. So is
Dude, and
yeah.
that's pretty much my next one too. It's just kind of the flip is the next time I really felt like a next milestone for me becoming more of a mature man is definitely when my first son Vincent was born.
Oh,
And
dude, that's amazing.
it was crazy, even just like it didn't even A lot of people be like, "Oh yeah, but when they're pregnant, you probably change," but it's really not the same until they're born because even you love them, but you don't know them like them. That's why the mom has that unconditional love and that bond because they've been growing that kid inside of them for 9 months.
Yeah.
You know, whereas the father, it's hard. You don't know them. They don't know you. You don't know them. But somehow, immediately, it's an understanding. There's a bond immediately too, and it's super beautiful thing. And it's just
Yeah.
very humbling.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of these experiences too, is they're kind of like, and they're either very empowering or they're humbling, right? So,
Yeah.
um, and in this way, it's kind of both because you're like, damn, you feel empowered based on like what you watch your wife go through or your girl go through, and it's just like it makes you feel like if they can physically deal with all this, like I got this, and then like also you're just super happy and excited that there's a new baby here that's your kid,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, I gotta now I'm dad. It's not like, oh, I'm just some guy. Like, no, I gotta be like I got to help take care of this kid. I got to help raise
Right.
this kid, teach this kid things. This kid's going to look at me as the first example, as to how to
Yeah.
act and shit. So, I mean, like that definitely kind of whips your ass into being like, all right, now it's time to get things together and, have a game plan how you are. And it's funny too, because, um, the biggest jump with me career wise is having kids because I really never wanted to be a manager at all.
Hmm.
And, after having my second kid and just kind of like going through the motions and being a parent with my wife and or Steph, and,
Hmm.
it just really kind of teaches you like basics of management. It's like you literally delegate and you have to coach someone, which is no
Yeah.
different than in a workplace. And it's just funny how much being around the kids last year kind of groomed me into being somewhat of a person that can handle doing all this stuff in a regular professional setting, which is 3 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, right. I'm not going to manage anybody. Like, I've always been like that. I'm like, I don't want to manage shit. And I still kind of feel like that. I like being responsible for my own things.
Hmm.
Um, but I have found I do like getting it's fun getting a team together. It's fun executing something and then having it work and follow through and then watching people grow. And I feel like that's kind of like what it's basically parenting and teaching. And so I'm like, yeah, I think that's why I think as you get older too, we need more of a challenge, like
Hmm.
it's not just enough of a challenge to have a job. Like you know, I need to like I can do these skills I have, so I might as well get paid to do them. And it's been nice. Like even with work, I've been noticing like I can get people to like I like the guys, I respect them, and that's the thing. Just like with your kids, you can't just yell at them and tell them all these things they're not doing right. You got to build, confidence and help them learn and
Hmm.
understand while you're still correcting their mistakes. It's a whole balancing act, but it's once again like huge step for me being a man is having those kids just because it gives me I'm not just myself. I'm also a dad. It's kind of
Yeah.
like another hat I have to wear.
Yeah. More responsibility.
Yeah, but it's fucking
More
great.
dude, and like first off, like, yeah, it is amazing, seeing or knowing you for past decade plus, years, like seeing you make this transformation from this punk kid who notorious for being a goofball and a clown
Yeah,
to like hitting our lows, in our 20s to, you know, saying, "Oh yeah, come over to my house," and like having a home, with a beautiful
right.
family, and having two kids. Like, is it's been an amazing journey for me seeing it, for seeing you grow into this person. And not just you, Coop, like seeing some of my friends. I'm not gonna say their names, but mutual friends that we have, also seeing them
Yeah,
from buying $1,000 sneakers to like yeah, I'm not gonna do that no more because I have to buy, a new car seat for my kids. It's
Yeah.
like, and it's been amazing. And if I want to be completely honest with you and our listeners, and like at the end of the day, this is a podcast to bring up mental awareness. Like sometimes I do feel like, less than a man for not having those kind of things, like
Mhm.
for not having like a family in my age, for not having a kid in my age yet. That's something that, I need to like constantly remind myself. I'm like, no, those things do not validate who I am. Like it would be nice to have those things, but it does not like identify who I am, or how I got to this moment of my life. But so that's something like it's an ongoing struggle that hopefully one day I'll be able to experience, like
Yeah.
how to be a father, and how to be, like you said, a role model for these kids and stuff. And yeah, like when again we were talking about reproduction for other episodes, like you know those kind of things always come up to my mind also, like I wonder what. And I mean, it's an ongoing issue, dude. Like we say this and we fucking preach this, and we need to practice what we preach. But I know sometimes we say like, stop giving a shit of what society thinks and what other people think. Like
Yeah.
that's the one rule we can always say, like, stop giving a shit, and you're like, whatever. But I can't help but sometimes thinking like, I wonder what other people think about me when they see like, oh, here's this guy who's in his mid 30s, not married,
Yeah.
no kids or something. And this is why I brought that up a lot of episodes ago when I saw that comment on Facebook that it was it fit perfectly to what I was going through and thinking. And again, I'm like, fuck, you know, this validates exactly how I feel. And this is why I'm a piece of shit sometimes.
Yeah.
Um and it's kind of like, it sucks, dude. It sucks. It sucks so much. But I got to remind myself, like, those are just social stereotypes and social, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like social norms that have been
Yeah.
implemented by nobody. And it's not fucking law saying I have to do this or that by a certain age. And unfortunately, like the majority of my life has been like that. Like I feel like, we look at our parents as role models. Like my dad has been a father since he was like, the age of 20, you know? And
Yeah.
he's like a dad to like 7 different kids, like by my age, he was already on a second marriage, you know, with 2 kids already. And so we see our parents, as our role models. And I'm like, fuck, I'll never be a man like he was.
Yeah, but think back to how he felt when his first marriage failed.
Yeah,
I mean, he wasn't
absolutely.
happy. And then
No,
when he went into a
and
second marriage, you know how nervous he probably was that was going to fail too. So I mean, that kind of should just give you some perspective, dude, because you're not your dad and he's not you, and your
yeah.
paths aren't going to be the same. You know?
No, and I think we talked about this in the last episode. Like that led to my dad being alcoholic, his depression from his
Right.
first marriage and not being able to see his kids who were, young teenagers at this time, like 12, whatever, 12, under
Right.
10. That led to a lot of his drinking issues, and which led to problems which still affects me nowadays, when I think about that time period. Um So yeah, it's just, I mean, we say this all the time in this podcast. By all means, we're not perfect. We're not telling you, oh, look at us, we have our shit together. We don't. I just
Yeah.
express, shit that still bothers me. And all I can say is like, dude, we're all going through it, and like, we're not saying we're perfect, but just know that this is example of two guys who,
Yeah.
we're this is how we go through and what we think all the time. And it sucks, dude. It sucks. So, like, yeah, sometimes I do feel like, oh yeah, I'm a fucking man, dude. But at the same time, like, am I really though? It's just like an ongoing clash within your head.
Yeah. But I also feel like if you interviewed your dad at your age, he would have been like, "Yeah, I mean." I fucked up. I don't have my marriage going anymore. Like, I don't feel like a man. Like, a man has a family. A man doesn't get
Yeah.
divorced, especially if he's Catholic.
Oh
That's a
fuck.
big
Yeah.
letdown.
That's a big thing.
So it's like, but now he can look back, and even you can be proud of his life. So that's
Yeah.
the point I'm trying to say is like, you don't get it now because you're not looking back at it. It doesn't make sense in the
Hmm.
present time to anybody, even people that are
Yeah.
doing well. They're always going to be like, what can I be doing better? It's not until you
Yeah.
like years pass and you realize, oh wait, that was okay. I just was kind of being a little hard on myself or just a little
Yeah.
unrealistic with what was going on in my life at the time.
Yeah.
Because we're putting timelines on we're putting other people's timelines on our timeline.
Yeah.
And I think everyone's guilty of it. It's not even that you're jealous. It's just that you're like, oh, is that an idea of where I should be right now?
Hmm.
And even people like that are 10 steps ahead of you, like there's someone 10 steps ahead of that person. So they're always going to be like, and I know this doesn't necessarily make you feel better, but the point is this like your dad probably for sure felt like probably crappy too, like just
Hmm.
as bad. I don't know. But
Yeah.
like, later on, look what he made. And then like what I'm saying is too, like you're proud of what he did. And it's not like you're like, oh, he fucked up a lot. Like, no, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think like looking back, on your life, people are gonna be like, dude, wow, I'm so proud of him. Like he was teaching, and he moved up from one school to another, and he really made a difference with all these kids. During this such a critical age group that
Hmm.
when they're learning things, they could either take a life of crime or do something else. Like it's a very impressionable range, and I feel like you're building skills for a
Yeah.
bigger reason, and we none of us know what that is. I tell myself
Now.
that with work too. Like I'm like I'm not happy with work. Like I know I'm happy I'm a manager, but I'm not necessarily happy with the industry I'm in. I don't feel like it's like sustainable. I also feel like the people in the industry are shady, and then just like it's so much uncertainty, and I'm like I have to provide too, and like
Yeah.
I can't not have a job. It's like, so
Hmm.
what is my career? So I still feel like I want this to be our career. I feel like,
Yeah.
but you have a career like outside of this too that you're proud of. So I think
Yeah.
that that's something else to be thankful for, man. Like, you got something that literally, like, if this fails, you're not just working a 9 to 5. That's your career. You're a
Yeah.
teacher. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. I
That's
will
that's
appreciate
fucking
you.
huge shit to
Well,
have that
thanks, man.
because, dude, everything else falls in place. Like
Yeah.
people that have families, like you've seen how it is. Like when they don't have the job, like yeah, they got the love, but that puts strain on everything too.
It's
And
so much stress, dude.
it's like you have the foundation, dude, and like that's the fucking hard part.
Yeah.
Because then once everything else clicks, it's just going to be all you can focus all your time on that.
Yeah.
You're not going to have to be like, oh, I got to get 2 jobs because you
Hmm.
spent all the time doing what you're doing now, building your career. So by the time
Yeah.
all that shit happens, everyone else is gonna be talking about money, and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, I'm going out and doing this now. I mean, I feel like we all go through like years and chapters of our lives, and we're just at this point. It'll
I I
change
I think we like to also maybe I shouldn't say we, but I definitely feel like I like to pick and choose my battles. Like I like to pick and choose when I feel like I'm being successful, and then I like to focus and criticize my own self with certain things that I don't feel so successful.
for sure.
Because yeah, I mean, I acknowledge that I'm working in a career that I went to college for. I acknowledge that what I'm doing is a very important job, and I acknowledge that my career is like is a pretty respectable career. Especially in the past 13 months with pandemic, their parents and society is finally seeing how critical a teaching job is,
Right.
for everything. So in that sense, like, okay, cool. Same thing, like over here, I just said like, oh man, I felt like such like a man where I was able to drop like X amount of money, my parents, and it didn't hurt the bank or anything. And it wasn't like, fuck, well, I'm not gonna be able, I'm gonna have to eat Oreos and a cup of noodles for next month,
Yeah.
like
Fuck.
it felt like a man. But then at the same time, I'm like, well, I don't got these things. What about this? Again, I like to pick and choose, what makes me feel successful. And I mean, it's something that any therapist will tell you, any support group, any fucking TED talk. It's like your brain will, you're always going to be your own worst enemy.
Yeah.
And then of course, your brain's always is going to only want to choose or make you remember things to only validate how you feel,
Hmm.
and
That's true.
yeah, and it's something that I have to constantly remind myself, and I have to constantly remind myself to be patient. And it's funny that we're talking, about relationships. Maybe this is why is still fresh in my mind, because literally today I was just giving a lesson to teenagers about relationships, healthy relationship, unhealthy relationships,
Right.
and warning flags. And I always been open with my students, especially last year when there was days when my anxiety and my depression and my stress was just kicking my ass in school. When you had students literally come up to you and be like, "Hey man, you okay?" Like you knew you were fucking up, or you were
Yeah.
not yourself. So like, these students now are still continuing to be my students. They're freshmen last year. They're sophomores now. And I have I'm doing this, lesson, and I have a student like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" Like, "Hey, how are you doing today?" Like, blah blah blah. It's like, "Hey, are you still single?" Blah blah blah. Like asking about my relationship life, and
Right.
I'm like, "Well, I'm kind of dating somebody at the time." Blah 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 blah. And and he's like, "Oh, that's cool, man. Like, yeah, just he's all be patient, Betancourt. Just be patient. Don't try to rush things. Here's a
Yeah.
fucking 15-year-old telling me, giving me
That's
advice,
cool. Like old
and
soul.
yeah, and I'm like, damn kid, you're right. I have to be patient. I have to be patient and not rush things, because I feel like a lot of my mistakes, not in relationship, but some of my life mistakes has been for rushing things.
Yeah.
Like, did I have to go and drop X amount of money to, for a whole studio overnight? Probably not. I could build it, one by one. Did
Right.
I have to drop X amount of money, on the casino for one night? No, all these mistakes, or I shouldn't say mistakes. I'll say mistakes because it's definitely not regrets. But all these mistakes, if I was just be more patient, things would have played out differently, I
Yeah.
believe.
I was
Um,
wondering if you were gonna have another more grotesque example to just keep going down. Did I have to get rid of the dead hooker in the trunk? No,
no, I could
but
just
I
turn myself
did.
in.
And that was another part of being a man, taking care of things.
Taking care of business every
Like
day
hookers in a trunk. Um,
and sniffing a lot of coke.
yeah, cocaine for everyone. Um,
When you wanna cocaine,
yeah, but dude, like not to just. It's not. I don't want to say your voice isn't meaningful, like that voice in your head telling you all that stuff,
yeah,
because it is useful. It's what we need, and like you said, it kind of is your bar of what you view as success, and that is an important thing.
yeah,
I just we just have to work on not being so emotionally attached to that.
yeah,
And I'm guilty. I mean, that is the hardest thing. That's something we're gonna struggle with for the rest of our lives.
absolutely.
I don't think anyone has that down. Maybe some people are better at it, maybe on a scale, but I think everyone, no matter what happens, is always going to do that. It's like the human
Mhm.
condition, man. The grass is always greener. You
Yeah,
know, it's just typical. We're never satisfied as human beings, dude. Every one of us is guilty of it. You know,
yeah,
but I mean, there's truth
yeah,
to what you're saying. I get it, and
mhm.
I'm not going to say your feelings aren't valid. I'm definitely not going to say that.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to remind you, bro. And I know you don't really need the reminder because you're like, no, that doesn't make me feel better,
yeah,
and it probably won't, because it's one time is a weird thing. Time is the thing that heals. Time is the thing that reveals too.
yeah,
You know, so it's just and it just like when we were 19, dude. These life mantras are great, and we accept them and we listen to them now more than we
yeah,
used to. But still, at the end of the day, you're just like, dude, I don't want to hear that shit. I just want to feel better. You know,
yeah.
I just want that
Well,
already.
I think that's the whole thing where I was just talking about, though, being patient.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, we live in a society now where we want instant gratification. We want instant results.
Right.
or our whatever we're doing, like, all right, I feel like shit. I went for a fucking 20-minute walk. How come I still feel like shit? Like,
Yeah.
or like I just meditated for fucking 10 minutes. How come I still like, we want instant gratifications. And I think that's one thing we need to remind ourselves. Like, we need to be patient. We need to just all in time and let things naturally roll out. And I
Right.
think even as I'm saying that, I'm realizing that's a very mature and a very like manly approach in my idea of what a man is, of life. Like, hey, just be patient, be live for the moment, be grateful what you have. And something I literally just told this to one of the students today, and like, hey, you cannot change past mistakes. You cannot go back in time and do those. All we can do is just acknowledge what we did, take away the good times, and learn from the bad times, and not make those same mistakes again. And that's all we can do. And that feels like that's a pretty mature, in my personal opinion, I feel like that's a very mature, old, grown up way of thinking and learning from your mistakes, if you will.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, like, ride the wave, man. Because that's what
Yeah.
an old person would tell you.
Yeah.
Is it like sometimes we gotta look to old people because like, yeah, they're old and they're forgetting things, but it's like, but they also have the life experience and they also are in that stage where they're like, just enjoy it, dude, because that's what you're gonna look back on is the time you were like, man, this stinks. But then you're like, yeah, but I didn't have like prostate problems and all that shit.
Yeah.
I wasn't on dialysis, so no, like, but like that's what I mean, like sometimes we need those like other examples that aren't necessarily people that are gonna die tomorrow, these
Yeah.
extreme examples, but like just normal examples that are a little more relatable, you
Yeah.
know, because it's like, yeah, I hate that whole thing where it's like there's starving kids in Africa or if you had no arms, yeah, of course. Let's go to the worst possible case and compare it to what I'm dealing with, and I'm always gonna
Yeah.
look like a bitch. Sure.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make the person feel any better.
And this is what exactly what I was just telling some of my students, like, hey, first off, your feelings are valid. Like you were just saying right now, your feelings are valid regardless. And if you compare yourself, like, well, fuck, imagine if I didn't have no arms, how life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude, for
well, you know
sure.
what?
It's not a
Well, yeah,
realistic comparison, right?
yeah, like, well,
Yeah.
dude, you have arms, so don't compare yourself to somebody who doesn't have fucking
Yeah.
arms. Because guess what? He just like you are, they learn how to deal with it, and you have to just roll. Your feelings are valid. If you feel like shit right now, feel like shit. Who gives a damn about the starving kids in Africa?
Put it this
Like,
way, you're
yeah,
not
it sucks
competing
for
in the
them.
same circuit, so stop
Yeah,
comparing yourself.
and I forget where I got this from, but somebody said life is not a race, bud. Because the finish line, nobody wants to get to the finish line.
It's true.
So life is not a race because nobody wants to get to the finish line first. So just take
And
it nice and slow.
slow and steady, man.
Oh yeah.
But that's definitely not never mind. Uh it's just, like slow and steady, enjoy the ride, quality time, quality over everything, man. Like
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect time to end with some wise words. Are you ready?
I think I'm ready.
I think you're ready.
Yeah, I
All
think I'm
right,
ready.
so I'm deciding on how I'm gonna read these. I'm thinking maybe like a monotone William Shatner style
I like
because I
that.
can't sing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that would just be way too painful for people. So it's not gonna be Shatner style, but it's gonna be poetic style. So here's some
Mm.
ending words for you today, and it'll happen once again. You'll turn to a friend, someone that understands and sees through the master plan.
Mm.
Danny, do you have anything to add?
Well, hold on, me.
Well,
Let me
it's almost
rethink.
over. I was hoping you complete it like
Yeah,
Run DMC. I could have gone
yeah.
over
Hold
this.
on, I'm just trying to remember. Turn to a friend.
But
Um,
everybody's
but everybody's gone, and you just been here for too long
Mhm.
to face this on your own. And you know what? I guess this is
I
growing
guess
up.
this is growing up.
Absolutely.
Should I,
You know this.
we could have rehearsed it better, but you know what?
We
Well, this is growing up, and now you know the significance. Danny really named this episode when we were talking earlier in the week, and
Mm-hmm.
I replied, "Damn it," because I knew it was from "Damn It."
Yeah.
Because we were talking about this, and he said, and then you said, "Well, I guess this is growing up," and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, dude, that's perfect, exactly." So,
You know
"Damn
what's the
It"
sad?
pretty much sums up. If it wasn't for YouTube and Spotify, I'd probably be able to throw some Blink on there, but we're just gonna pretend you hear it.
Well, you know what's funny? Um, my old cover band used to cover that song, and so you would think I remember the lyrics off the top of my
No,
head,
but I
but
didn't even go over it with you. I was such a shitty
no,
host.
it happened
I
once
was
a
just like,
week or
"Hey,
something.
you figure it out." I didn't even
I'm
feed
like,
it to
wait,
you. I could have been like,
I'm
"But
all
everybody's."
gone, and
See, I
you've
could have
been here
done
for
that. I fucking
too
left you hanging
long. It's
on.
okay.
But
To
this
base
is
this
why
on
I'm
our
not a singer or a front
it was
man.
funny. I can probably sing the whole song. I'm not gonna do it though. Because it's one of those songs that you heard like a million times and you know the lyrics, or you kind of have an idea what the lyrics are. Um, until you actually like read them, you're like, oh shit, I've been singing the wrong lyric for like years. Oh,
You know, one of my favorite lines in the song is the steps that I retrace, the sad look on your face, the timing and structure. Did you hear he fucked
you
her?
fucked
God, that's
her.
such a
Yeah.
good line. It's so relatable. Like when you're younger and you see a girl you like that's with some other dude and you're just like, fuck.
And
You know,
it's funny because
relatable.
the second verse to that song. Let's just analyze this song really
Yeah, why
quickly.
not?
And maybe I'll see you in a movie sneak preview. You show up and walk by in the arms of that guy, and I'll smile in your
Yeah.
wave, and I'll pretend it's okay. The charade, it won't last. When he's gone, I won't come back.
Oh, I got
Like,
goosebumps when you were reading that.
dude, like how real is that? I don't have the
So
lyrics,
real.
so I'm sorry if
No,
I if
dude, I'm
I
reading it and you read them perfectly.
okay, cool. But like, yeah, I guess it's like being mature about past relationship. You know, you'll run into an ex partner or something, and rather than making like a big scene or something, you're just like you do like the what's up, and
Like, fuck you, though. Yeah.
and just like pretend like everything's okay. But deep down inside, like you're fucking dying, man.
Yeah.
Like the
You're also kinda,
charade
like,
won't last.
cold, like, "Fuck you, I ain't
Yeah.
gonna go back," even
And
if
when
that
he's
dude's
gone,
gone.
like, hey, if he leaves you, like, fuck you, you ruin um your chances.
That's what I
But
mean,
then
like
he,
yeah,
but then the
just
pre-chorus, it'll happen once again. You'll turn to a friend, someone
someone that
that sees too much
understands,
point,
sees through the master
repeating
plan.
over. Yeah, it's just repeating over and over the things, which is funny because for a lot of people who don't take Blink 182 so serious, like it just sounds like, oh, they're just freaking dumbass lyrics, but like no, like some of these lyrics are like very like thoughtful. Like, yeah, they're childish, but like the message, especially for like teenage when it comes to like teenage angst and stuff, like
Yeah.
is right there, dude.
Hell
Like if you
yeah.
think about what's my age again, it that could easily be relatable to what we're talking about today. Like my friends say I should act my age. What's my age again? Like why would I
The
want to grow up if I have
state
so
looks
many
down
years
on
in front of me?
sodomy.
Yeah, and that's about the time that bitch hung up on me. What the hell is call ID? Like,
Dude, seriously, what the hell is caller ID now? People don't even know what
dude,
the fuck that is anymore.
they just
Caller
automatically
ID?
assume.
You mean the shit that's already on your phone?
Yeah, like what the fuck is caller ID?
Yeah, that was
Like
a
no
big
one
deal,
knows
man. It
that.
used to just show numbers, all right?
Yeah, or like star
Fuck out.
69. Like call back the last number, or like
Star
just block it.
67 is still the block number.
There you go. Or like
That's a handy one.
no one knows what the fuck 411 means anymore. Like, oh, let me give you the
Dude, what
four.
about popcorn?
Oh, I remember popcorn.
I think it's still there.
A 767, and then it's just like the most random four numbers after that.
Yeah. I
At the
remember my mom
tone.
told me about that one because
Yeah,
it gives you the standard time or whatever, but
yeah,
I don't know how
at the
accurate that
tone.
shit even
The
is.
Pacific Standard Time will be
6
5:59 and
and
10
32
seconds.
seconds.
Boop. It's just like
Yeah.
24 hours of just that over and over, dude. Um, but yeah, man, it's just like, yeah, in the words of Blink, it's just, you have to take things slow. Um, and just know like time is inevitable. You cannot stop forward, cannot be stopped at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you feel like shit, go through emotions, but also celebrate your accomplishments. Like you living on your own in a 3-bedroom house or apartment with two
Yeah,
other dudes at the age of 21, like
dude, that shit
that's a
was
huge
awesome.
accomplishment.
Mhm.
Yeah. Having a beautiful family with 2 kids in the house, that's freaking congratulations.
Hell
Me,
yeah, man.
being financially independent with not like having to worry about like
I don't
having
know many
negative
people that
energy,
could
like
loan their parents 6 grand either, bro. So
drug
that's pretty
users.
nice, dude. I also don't know many. Not only are they in the position to do it, but are good enough people to do that as well. Like that's pretty.
Mm,
That's really cool. You know,
I will never second doubt it for my parents.
for sure. But there,
My siblings,
I know you put yourself at a high standard, which is what you should do. But
hmm
it's still nice to know that like you were in good hands, and then your folks are in good hands. Because
yeah,
they raised you right. You brought yourself up right. You can't give your parents all the credit either,
hmm
because they weren't there for everything.
no,
Um,
they didn't see.
no
Oh,
parent,
thank
no
God,
parent. Well, thank God, exactly.
thank God they weren't
Like,
there
hey,
in
I
the
wish
bathrooms
really
of the
wish mom or
Cinnabar.
dad was here. Not really.
Bathrooms at the Cinnabar. Oh, I wish my parents could see me
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah. Fuck, the condom broke. Damn it, dad. Yeah, like, why weren't
No.
you there to hand me another one? Yeah.
What? How come you didn't tell me it's going to be a bad idea, Dad?
You just see a little hand pushing a condom under the door.
In their door and shit.
Got you. Yeah. Thanks,
Hurry up,
dad.
son. Hurry up. Wrap it up.
And because I never brought one, that's how. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but with that being said, if you're a friend or a sibling of mine, do not ask me for money because I only loan money to my parents. I
Yeah,
learned that the
no.
hard way too.
All those numbers were completely fictitious.
No,
Purely for
they were
entertainment quality for the show. It has nothing to do with actual numbers.
definitely threw like a couple more zeros in the back. I only
And
loaned my
we
parents like
we
50
have to
bucks.
exaggerate. It's better. It's better publicity. It's just better all around. I mean,
It
no one
makes for
wants to hear
better
about
stories.
$60.
No.
No,
60? I was thinking
60.
more
What
like
are you gonna buy?
6.
What are you gonna buy with $60?
A
That
12
isn't even
can,
pay
son.
for my pills.
Not with today's prices.
Not with my insurance bracket. um, but dude, yeah,
No,
I
but
next week we got a fucking really good one lined up. I think we should
hell
preview it a
yeah.
little bit. But I don't want to give
Absolutely,
it
man.
away completely, but let's just say it involves breaking points. Yeah. Yeah, like Dr. Evil.
Yeah.
They just
You
keep
know what I love
laughing.
about that? At the very end, when they like don't know when to stop laughing, I think that's always like the
All right, that's
funniest. Like,
enough.
huh? Like, okay.
Yeah, but it
Um,
got super awkward, but then he's okay, that's it.
okay, okay, that was the last one. But yeah, we kind of hint at it, our breaking point,
Yeah, if you will.
via
Mhm.
con Dios, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Um,
dude, what did the lead singer from the Red Hot Chili Peppers say?
that would not be wise. Oh no, he didn't say that. He said that would be too easy.
And he really did that. I watched it today, what you're talking about, and it was
Yeah.
funny because I pictured you and I'm all, there you go, Danny. I, I just remembered
There you go.
again because I totally
Uh,
forgot that was Anthony Kiedis.
dude, it's just a great movie.
And don't even say yet. Don't even say it. This is great hype for next episode.
It's just
So if you want to know what we're talking about, you keep your fucking
tune in.
ears to the ground and you just wait for Tales from the Head to come out with another episode. This is
Now
going
I
to be
want
the
to
next
know.
one, huh?
No, I'm like now I want to double check. You know what? We'll see. Hey, tune in next week. We'll find out if
Yeah.
Danny got that movie line correct.
And if you didn't, fuck them.
Sue me.
We're going to do it anyway. All
Yeah,
right?
sue me.
With subtitles wrong. How you
Let
like
me let
that?
me let me talk to the writers because they got it wrong.
Yeah.
They
We'll
should
write
hire me to
letters.
get it
We'll
right.
send some emails. We'll see if they get back to us. Maybe it'll work.
Maybe we will be writers for all we know.
But you know what? It's important to remember our accomplishments, those milestones of us growing and progressing as human beings and adults, and continuing to want to do that. So I'm going to keep doing my best. And I know you are, because you are killing it right now, sir.
Thank
But
you. Appreciate
till
that.
next week when we explore our other problems or I don't know, problems or accomplishments or downfalls or pimples on our asses, we'll definitely keep you guys in the loop. And that doesn't have to do with steroid use. It's just acne. All right, guys. Take care. Have a good one, and we'll see you later.